This is my signature old man Japanese larch. It's one of the first that I started doing way back in 2001, and it's now the ripe old age of 25, 26 years old. It's looking nearly as old as me now. And you'll know that last year when I was visiting Herons, I saw a Japanese larch similar to this on a massive rock. And suddenly I thought, I'm going to repot this and I'm going to try and emulate the same style by getting the roots of this on a rock. And if you want to find out whether this rock is actually going to be up to the grade for this Japanese larch, keep watching. Whatever happens, it's bound to be fun and you're bound to learn something. Hi, it's Xavier. Welcome to my bonsai retreat, and as you've guessed, this is all about emulating an incredible Japanese larch that I saw in 2024 when I went and visited Herons. In fact, with both Jason Hanrahan and Alex Braunton, and earlier in the year with Yellow growing bonsai. Absolutely blew my mind, and immediately it helped me decide the way forward with this. Currently, it's been in this Dawn Isaac ceramic, which she custom made for me, for 2 years. If I wanted to check, easy. Just go to my Bonsai Database, have a look for this larch, and I'll see where the bring up is. May well be that I've got a bring up for next year on this, but 2 years, Japanese larch, if it's healthy, those roots would already be pretty extensive. But now I'm eager, because I want to whack it on this rock. It's got so many grooves, and I think it'll sit nicely like that, depending on the root structure. We'll wrap it down, have it higher up. We may even take it out of this for now, but I'm really looking forward to that. Again, let's remind ourselves, why do we repot a tree? One, loss of percolation. It's been in there well too long, full of roots. In fact, you'll probably see it pushing up the tree. That's a great reason to redo the tree. Another reason, change of style. Maybe I want to change this into an upright. I doubt it, but that would be a reason. So I'm changing the style of it. Or you might have a broken pot, something like that. Or indeed, you want to do a complete change of pot. Again, it's style related. But generally, we like to leave our trees alone because those roots can be left for a long, long time. And there are many, many bonsai professionals, some very well experienced ones, who literally never repot their trees. The tree learns to live within the microenvironment it has. All it needs is sun, water, being chatted to twice a day, and often some trace elements or minerals and feed, just to keep it going. But as a rule, Japanese larch I will be repotting every 2 to 3 years. Again, size dependent, age dependent. The younger they are, more often you repot them. So who wants to see me pull this out and one, have a look and see if the root system's got any better than the last time I did. And I think, if you remember, the roots were okay. We had some nice long strangly ones, but strangly? I think they were straggly actually, but they weren't blowing anyone's mind with energy. And I think part of my idea here is I want to redesign and get this higher up. I actually want to let this thing push out. So I may put it in something a little bit deeper, who knows, and feed it heavily and not prune it at all. But before we decide all that, what I really need to do is get it out of that pot. I actually think we can put better use to this nice bit of glued Japanese rock. I always thought that they came in the great big pieces, and apparently the expensive ones do. They come in one piece. But if you look closely, when you go, say, to Herons or anywhere that sells these really, really interesting rocks, looking close, actually, there are lots of small bits of slate or whatever they are glued together. And apparently it's big business in China, Japan, wherever they do it. So if it's cheaper than you thought, it's because it's been glued together with lots of gluey stuff. Didn't know that. Interesting factoid. Oh, there we go. And again, we've got a lot of weeds. You can tell weeds because they're the really, really white, thin roots. For this to have been in this pot for even a year, you would expect to see a lot more circling. It's screaming at me. I've said it every time I talk about the old man larch. It's screaming at me to let me go and thrive and thrust out my limbs. So that's what we're going to do. That's why we'll repot it as well. So take aside this lovely Dawn Isaac. I'm sure we can find something else to put in there. There is certainly a lovely fine root structure here, so it has got lots of roots. And this time I've remembered my squirty water. We want to make sure we keep them damp because the sun's out, and I do not want to be cooking off. They're dried off, but here you can see they're still fresh living, and we've got this lovely nice colour here, and it's a nice lightish brown. Then moving off to this nice fine weave. These are the ones you've definitely got to keep moist because they'll dry out, and that's where all your growing is coming from. So I have got some nice roots on this. Look at that, lovely root structure there. Okay, well we've come a long way, about 20 minutes, and as I say, taking my time, definitely want to get this right. And as you see, we've actually got quite a nice structure of roots. Now, obviously, I'm looking at having on the rock, I need to have it divided into groups. So I've got 2 definitive groups I can use, which is positive. Don't need all this extra length. Just make this a bit easier. And again, make sure your shears are sharp because you want these ends to have a nice sharp cut, because that's where new roots are going to come from. But first of all, I want to try and see how I can sit that on the rock and maximize the root spread in the channels, because this will all be buried so you won't see it. And again, it's probably a great time to say this. It's very hard sometimes to have a full understanding, because until you see the roots, you can't see what opportunities you're going to have and whether or not the channels you've got in your existing rock are going to actually be fit for purpose. So I think I can sit it like that. I recognise that I'm probably going to need some ground sphagnum moss, and I've mixed it with some actually general sphagnum just to make it a nice thick clag. And I'm going to put the roots either side, and then I'm going to be tucking them over, then attaching loads of muck on top, cling film over the top of that, try and hold it nice and tight. It's going to need a long time to settle. So let's see how we get on, shall we? I already want to just put a little bit of stuff wedged in. And there are channels there, but it's just about getting everything in place so it sticks. Okay. As you can see, I've wrapped some cling film right around there. The roots are actually going under, and I've got lots of muck in there as well. I'm using this rock. It's the only way I can keep the whole lot together and also the rock secure. So then I'm going to use a little bit of wire and just tighten that up. Because we need to make sure this does not move quite a few years. I don't want it to stay in there, but again, it's the limitations of the material I've got. What I need is these roots that are going to be on the bottom of this. I want to grow under and under opposing directions, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Now I need to put some more muck in there. And again, the main reason for the muck is I don't want any of these lovely roots to actually dry out. And anyone who says, is this awkward? Oh my gosh, it's awkward. The whole idea is to keep it tight on there. It's on there enough that I can get it in the pot. Okay, now two channels of roots are actually jammed into a channel. Given time, like all roots over rock, roots in rock, those roots will expand, thicken, and hopefully slowly grip over the top. Do you know what pot I've picked, by the way? Bet you do. So going for the lighter ceramic. It's not an expensive pot. I think you can get those normally from your B&Q garden centres, your box stores, relatively cheap. I don't know, £25 maybe. So the key here is, now I can at least keep some of this bundle together, is to make sure that the remaining roots that are there, which are these ones here, are allowed to continue under. I want them to actually create a basket, basically. at the front. Be there. These big roots, definitely want them under. Roots up there. And at the back there. And then all we're going to do is use this mix here. Now I've actually got another substance there called leca, and I got a big 50-litre bag. I think it costs £37 for a 50-litre bag. I bought 2 of them, and it's the again, it's almost a volcanic-y sort of, looks like volcano. It looks like volcanoes. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Anyway, I got 2 of those at the sort of 1 centimetre at the sort of 6 to, I think it was 6 to 10 millimetre. Yeah, I think I got it at 6 to 10 millimetre, which works perfectly. If you look at the balls of these, they're just, well, what's this? Rabbit poo, about rabbit poo size. It's all been baked and fried and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so I'm trying that out. Again, now, what I do need to do is also find some moss, because what I like to do is actually take the plastic off at some point and then put moss over the top. Basically finding a way to make sure this thing does not move about. May not be the most pretty or attractive, but I do not want this moving about. So I've got the tree attached to the rock, and now the rock and the tree attached to the pot. Having this deeper pot, I think it's going to make all the difference. I think those roots can have so much space, and there'll be so much more aeration than what was in that. And I say no insult to Dawn. That's what I asked for, and that's perfect. But gosh, looks 100% better already. Well, like many of my projects, even I really never quite know how they're going to turn out. I think if I did nothing else, gave it that depth of pot, gave it much better soil, I'm going to find I'm going to get some big advantages, and also fertilizing it. I think this has taken it to already to a better level, bringing it further up, higher up. It means that when I let some of these grow out and potentially create something higher up here, it's going to give me so much more to work with. Yes, you know, we could do a progression video and you won't see this for 2 or 3 years, because truthfully, I can't imagine that I'll be unwrapping anything there for, I've got to be patient. Minimum 2 years before I start exploring there. Those roots, we're going to have a year of the roots getting healthy and starting to put on. The second year is when we will see some really growth and vigor out of this. And probably third year. So in my database, which in fact, let's update it now. We've got the repot. And what I need to put down there is just mark that it's covered with cling film and stuff. And probably, what are we now, 25? I'm going to put in for a investigative repot in 2028. So yeah, so anyway, updated that, and that's when the reminder will come out. Because it's amazing when you've got this many trees, it doesn't take you long before you forget. Even your most popular, your most famous ones, you forget when you actually did the repot. So there it is. And although it's only the 5th, 6th of March now, we don't need to be seeing a repotting video now. So I imagine that what you're going to see is this when all the shoots have come out, and it's that lovely, gorgeous green colour. Well, believe it or not, we're in the middle of a heat wave, and it's now, I don't know, 25th, 26th of June. We've gone past the summer solstice, and well, I thought we'd catch up on how my old man Japanese Larch is doing, because it would be lovely if I said to you when I do things that they all work out fantastically and spot on, and you know, I can get in there and start pruning. And you know what? Maybe I hope that's what I'd be able to do. The reality is, I've got to look and see what the tree is telling me. Although I didn't take off loads and loads of roots when I did this, I did disturb them. And as a result of that, here, up at this part of it, although we've had the little florets of the opening needles, we haven't had any extensions at all from this side. This side we've got a real probably 20% of them have opened up, and we've got some quite weak extensions. This little aspect here, which truthfully, if I look at the future of this tree, I do honestly believe the future is going to be that. I'm going to remove potentially this and that. I can see this tree changing a lot. But here we've got a lot more strength. But we've only still got a few to be looking at. So what am I to do? Well, actually, the answer's simple. I've got to look at this and think back to a video I did last year, I think, in which I talked about the one big tip for healthy trees. And that's to make sure you've actually got that one big healthy growing tip. And over 3/4 of this tree, I haven't. Got signs of life. There's clearly some positive stuff happening, but really maybe 15% of the tree is showing any sign of shoots that I'd like with a larch. I mean, let's put it in context, shall we? Right now, this is a larch that's in full flush. It's already been pruned once, and look at that. And that's what you get when it's completely healthy. This one, I had a good muck about with the roots. They've been spread around the rocks. I've probably upset the cycle for the new shoots that were growing. So, you know, I'm not going to be worried by it. But what I'm going to recognize is I'm going to keep it still in a shaded area where it gets some dappled light, and observe and watch which extensions continue to grow. But I'm certainly not going to even consider pruning a few of the ones that are growing, because this tree right now is telling me it needs every single needle to pull in all that light to help build strength, maybe for next year's push. Well, it's the 11th of August, and wow, I think we've seen some changes, and I was right. I knew, just given a chance to rest, that some more of these shoots would come out. And you know what? There is a lot of green, promising growth on this. Some of the needles have yellowed off, but there's enough shoots there to tell me that this tree is going to bounce back nice and big and strong. Yeah, very, very happy. Really don't think that experiment worked very well. I think I'm going to already just cut a few of these back a bit. Just make it look a little less. There we go, that's just a bit better. Okay, growth under here, that's still quite small. We may lose that, but we'll see again. What I do like is at the end here, you've got a very, very brown looking bud head. And as I say to you, if you've got nice bud heads, then you're always going to get good growth in the end. So the only thing I do need to do is this really rather quite large weed, which unfortunately I think is going to be below the plastic. Oh, it's literally just on top. Thank you. So let's just pull a few of those out. That's still quite damp in there, so I'm really happy with that. But I do want to just stay on top of any weeds. There we go. And put that right back down. So the only thing I am going to do is feed it. And you will know, using the Super Thrive. And really after that, what I'm really going to do is keep it in a sort of semi-shaded area. Just let it go, and we'll see what it looks like in the November time, I think. Well, welcome back. It's the 2nd of December now, and well, all the needles have dropped, and you know, I've been impressed. When you look over it, it's on nice and solid. There's a few things I'll look at, and mainly it's to do with, if you look along these all these growths, we've got a couple like this one here extended out, got another one back here and here that's extended out, this one here. And do you know what I'm going to be doing? Just going to put a little bit of wire on a couple of these, because I actually want to get them pointing up. Doesn't mean that's where the final design's going to be, but what I want to do is at least give myself another option, because otherwise the only thing to do with that really is to clip it. Now quickly, I'm going to retreat, rewind back, remind us what the original inspiration for this was, because remember, it was that root over rock from Herons that pushed this to start in the first place. And although I'm going to have to wait a good couple of years before I can actually have a look, shift the angle on the rock, take this one away, still got to keep track of what it was I actually was trying to do, because I know when I look back over the edit in summer, I talked about the potential of removing some branches. Well, what I'll say to you now is no, I won't be removing any branches at all, because ultimately this angle has got to stay true to what, well, let's remind ourselves exactly what it's got to stay true to. But if you look at what mine looks like now, you can see where it's coming from. Not that I'd seen this tree before, but that's where I want to go with it. Right, well, you've had a reminder of what the inspiration was. And the first thing, a few of you in the comments will be saying straight away, Zav, there is a big problem. It's going to relate to something there. There is a solution. We'll talk about it in a minute. But as you can see, I've actually waxed it up on a rock so I can just re-estimate the sort of sloping nature of it. And these ones, all I've done is put some wire, put some gentle movement in there, separated them, and just started to give a bit of a downward flow towards this. A little twisty upwards here, so we can be building more up here. But I'll be looking to see really the shoots going to come from a lot closer in. As you know, when I wire out these larches in the last couple of videos you've seen, I'm looking at, I've sort of done some length, but I will be cutting back in the following year. So the length isn't necessarily a representation of what's going to happen long term. But there's lots and lots of healthy buds on this. And am I tempted to prune any of it? Absolutely not. Until I see what responds in 2026, I think it would be foolhardy to start pruning back on this one. It's had a year where it's really in full recovery mode. You know, no matter how little roots I took off, I still took roots off, I still displaced it from its home. It's sulked for a year, but from what we've seen, there's enough healthy growth that I think next year we're going to see it really push out. And yeah, I'm going to have to watch out for the wire. Again, we'll go back to the database and I'll whack a reminder that I've got wire on there. So in March, probably want to get that off. And while we're talking about that, you've seen the database a couple of times. Many of you will already have access to this Microsoft Access-based database stroke app, which I call it. It is free. There's well over 50 or 60 of you around the world using it. And I am going to be doing a video in the next week or two showing you, if you ask for that free access app that my daughter's designed, exactly how to set it up from a blank sheet and exactly how to put in a few of your new trees so that you can have what I've got now, which is a fully complete database that gives you reminders, that has loads of drop-down menus, that has over 500 trees in it, so that you can keep on top of all of your bonsai or developing bonsai. And I'll say this now, I use the word app, I recognize it's not going to be suitable for any of your phones or your iPhones or anything like that. You know what, if you want something like that, there is stuff out there. Trouble is, they charge you for that storage, limit of photos, limit of storage stuff. So you know what, if you want something that you can just keep building and building and building and keep a firm record that is accessible on a laptop or on an iPad or whatever, don't know, an iPad, something like that. Anyway, there's going to be a video about that coming out in the next week or two. So if that interests you, have a look in the description because there'll be a link to get in contact with me for that. But otherwise, yeah, that'll be pretty interesting before Christmas, actually. Anyway, there you go. Amazing. There is a few things I've got to do. If we have a look in close, we still need to make sure that we get rid of all this algae that's building up. This plastic, there's algae underneath it. I'd love to take it off now, but I'll probably do that next year, and just to make sure that this doesn't get so wet and rotty that it's going to cause problems. You know what I'm saying? And there's probably only one more thing left to do before we put this away for the year. And can you guess what that is? Of course, we've got our Jadam sulfur, which is the overwintering bug spray, which I use basically to make sure that on any of these deciduous, if there's any eggs, and if you look on the bark on a larch, there is loads and loads of places for eggs and stuff to be laid. So we'll just give it a good spray, and hopefully what this does is break those eggs down and stop us having an insect problem in 2026. And that, I believe, will do for 2025. I think it's going to be magnificent. Oh my gosh, that smells like eggs. Whew. So hopefully you've enjoyed this complete and utter transformation progression of this Japanese larch. Again, like the one we saw in the previous week, this is the original. In fact, for those of you who knew when I started this channel at the beginning, you've often asked me, why do I have that picture of that man with the Japanese larch, or that mudman with the Japanese larch making silly comments? Well, it was the beginning tree. It's the one that started me off as Expressions of Grace Bonsai, which has become the Bonsai Retreat. And this is that tree, all the way back to 2000, a 2-year-old sapling. What I will say is that not only today, but tomorrow is going to be absolutely fantastic, bright sunshine. And that's my opportunity, I think, to get myself down to Savor Nursery and start rooting around the Japanese maples, the Fuji cherry, the junipers, and see, and you as well, and see if I can find myself 2 or 3 potential bonsai for 2026, and perhaps help share with you what it is that I look for when I am selecting some trees. Anyway, that's next. So apart from that, hope you've enjoyed it. Hey, tell you what, that's a great video to watch if you want to see more about the old man larch. Otherwise, happy bonsai and God bless. Cheers.